The universe will never forget the moment. Humanity became the ultimate predator year 2157. The stars glittered against the endless black of space as the USS Horizon cut through the void. Commander Alan Wright stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main screen. For 3 months they had been tracking a strange signal from the edge of the solar system, out in the frozen wastes of the Kuiper Belt. "How much longer, Jackson?" Alan asked his navigator. Lieutenant Ben Jackson tapped at his console. 2 hours until we reach the source, sir." Alan nodded and turned to his second-in-command. "Susan, I want all sensors at maximum when we arrive. Whatever's out there, I don't want any surprises." Lieutenant Commander Susan Bell nodded. "Already done, sir. Dr. Carter is ready in the science lab. She hasn't slept in 2 days. She's so excited." Alan smiled slightly. Dr. Lisa Carter was the best xenobiologist Earth had, which is why he had requested her for this mission. If they found something alien out here, she would be the one to make sense of it. The Horizon was humanity's newest, deep space vessel, built to explore the outer reaches of the solar system. Humanity had spread throughout their home system with colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan, but they had yet to venture beyond, into the stars. The signal they were tracking might change all that. 2 hours passed in tense silence. Then, the ship's AI spoke. "Commander, we are approaching the signal source." "On screen," Alan ordered. The main screen flickered, and there it was. A ship, but not one of human design. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Horizon. Its hull was a strange, almost organic-looking material, with curves and angles that made no sense to human eyes. And it was damaged, with great tears in its side, revealing dark spaces within. "My God," whispered Susan. "Are we recording this?" Alan asked, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. "Every second, sir," Jackson confirmed. Alan tapped his comm unit. "Dr. Carter, are you seeing this?" Lisa's voice came back, breathless with excitement. "Yes, Commander, it's incredible. Not human design, not even close. We're looking at genuine alien technology." "Any signs of life?" Alan asked. "None that our sensors can detect," Lisa replied. "But that doesn't mean much. Their biology could be completely different from ours." Alan made his decision. "Prepare a boarding team, full environmental suits. Dr. Carter, you'll lead the scientific group. Susan, you'll lead security." Within 30 minutes, they were ready. Alan watched from the bridge as the small shuttle left the Horizon and approached the alien vessel. His stomach was tight with both excitement and worry. This was humanity's first contact with alien technology. Everything would change after today. Inside, the shuttle. Lisa checked her equipment one last time. Her hands were shaking slightly. Next to her, Susan and 3 security officers sat with their weapons ready. "Remember," Lisa said, "we're here to observe and document. Touch nothing unless I say it's safe." The shuttle docked with the alien ship, attaching to what looked like an airlock. After a few minutes of working with the unfamiliar mechanisms, they were inside. The corridors of the alien ship were wide and tall, lit by a soft blue glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The air, according to their suit's sensors, was breathable, but had a high methane content. The gravity was slightly less than Earth normal. "Look at this," Lisa whispered, running her scanner over the wall. "The material is some kind of metal organic, composite. Nothing like we've ever made." They moved deeper into the ship. In what appeared to be the control room, they found the crew, or what was left of them. The aliens were large, almost 8 feet tall, with 6 limbs. Their bodies were covered in a tough scale-like skin that had turned gray in death. Their faces were flat, with 4 eyes arranged in a horizontal line, and no visible nose or mouth. "They've been dead for some time," Lisa said, scanning the bodies. "Months, maybe years." "What killed them?" Susan asked. Lisa pointed to a large hole in one alien's chest. "Something burned through them. Weapon fire, I think." In the days that followed, the crew of the Horizon carefully explored the alien ship. They discovered much about the species that had built it. a race they began calling the Messengers because of the vast amount of data stored in the ship's computers. Lisa spent hours with the alien database, using translation software to decode their language. What she found stunned her. They weren't alone out there, she told Alan in his office, her face pale with lack of sleep. There's an entire community of alien species. They call it the Conclave. More than 30 different intelligent species sharing technology, resources, culture. Alan leaned forward. Are they friendly? Lisa looked down at her notes. That's the thing. They know about us. They've been watching Earth for centuries and they're afraid of us. Afraid? Why? Because of our history, our wars, our violence. The Messenger's records classify humans as potential threats due to our rapid technological advancement and our tendency toward conflict. Alan was silent for a moment. So what happened to the Messengers? Why was their ship damaged? Lisa shook her head. I'm not sure yet, but I found something else. A star map, showing the territories of the Conclave, and it shows how to reach them. Alan stood and walked to the small window in his office, looking out at the stars. So humanity isn't alone, and our neighbors are watching us, fearing us. There's more, Lisa said. Based on the technology we've found, I believe we can reverse engineer their faster-than-light drive. We could reach the Conclave in months, not centuries. Alan turned back to her. You realize what this means? Everything changes. Our place in the universe, our future as a species. I know, Lisa replied. The question is, what do we do with this knowledge? Do we reach out to the Conclave knowing they fear us? Or do we prepare for a universe that might be hostile to our very existence? Alan didn't answer immediately. The weight of the discovery pressed down on him. Humanity had always looked to the stars with hope and wonder. Now they knew that the stars were looking back, with fear. We do what humans have always done, he said finally. We adapt, we learn, and we move forward. As the Horizon began its journey back to Earth, carrying news that would forever change human history, none of its crew could imagine how their discovery would eventually lead humanity to become what the Conclave feared most. The ultimate predators in a universe that had forgotten what it meant to hunt. The universe will never forget the moment humanity became the ultimate predator. Part 2. 5 years passed since the USS Horizon discovered the alien ship. Earth had changed. The knowledge from the alien database spread across the planet. Scientists worked day and night to understand the technology. Soon they built their first faster-than-light engine. The stars were no longer out of reach. The United Earth government formed to speak with one voice to the stars. They chose Ambassador Kevin Mitchell to represent humanity to the Conclave. Kevin was tall with gray at his temples, a calm voice, and eyes that missed nothing. He had spent 20 years in diplomacy before serving in Earth's space forces. He understood both peace and war. Ambassador Mitchell, the emissary, is ready for your inspection, said Captain Jane Porter. She stood straight and proud on the landing pad, the massive ship behind her gleaming in the morning sun. The emissary was humanity's first true starship, built with the new technology learned from the alien vessel. It would carry Kevin and his team to the Nexus, the central hub of the Conclave. Thank you, Captain, Kevin said, looking up at the ship. She's beautiful. And deadly if needed, Jane added quietly. We've installed weapon systems based on what we found, just in case the Conclave isn't happy to see us. Kevin nodded. He hoped for peace, but Earth wasn't taking chances. Dr. Lisa Carter joined them, carrying a tablet. 5 years had changed. Her too. She was now the world's leading expert on alien biology. The final supplies are loaded, Ambassador. We're ready to go. Good. And Major Russell? Checking security one last time, Lisa said with a small smile. He trusts no one. Major Frank Russell was head of security for the mission. A man of few words, he had spent the last 5 years training his team for any possible threat they might face among the stars. 3 days later, the emissary left Earth's orbit. The crew watched their blue planet shrink behind them. For many, it was their last view of home for a long time. Captain Porter engaged the faster-than-light drive. The stars stretched and blurred around them. The emissary jumped across space, traveling in minutes what would have taken years before. When they emerged from FTL, they saw it, the Nexus, a massive space station that looked like a wheel with many spokes, turning slowly against the backdrop of an orange-red gas giant. Ships of strange designs moved around it like bees around a hive. "Look at the size of it," whispered Lisa. "It must be 50 miles across." "We're being scanned," reported the sensor officer. "Multiple scans. They know we're here." A voice came through the ship's speakers, speaking in a strange, clicking language. The ship's computer translated, "Unknown vessel, identify yourself and state your purpose." Kevin stepped forward. "This is Ambassador Kevin Mitchell of Earth. We come in peace, seeking to establish diplomatic relations with the Conclave." There was a long pause. Then, "Earth vessel, you will proceed to Docking Bay 7. Any deviation will be considered hostile action." "Not the warmest welcome," Frank muttered. "But not shots fired either," Kevin replied. "I'll take it." The emissary docked at the massive station. Through the viewports, the crew could see aliens of different species watching their ship. Some had too many limbs. Others had strange skin, colors, blue, green, purple. Some floated in the air. Others moved on many legs. Kevin led the first group to leave the ship. Lisa and Frank flanked him, with 4 security officers behind them. They all wore simple blue uniforms with Earth's new symbol, a globe wrapped in stars. Waiting for them was a group of aliens. In the center stood a tall figure with pale, almost translucent skin. Its forearms were thin but strong-looking. Its large eyes blinked sideways instead of up and down. "I am Elder Zax of the Zalaxian delegation," it said, its voice translated through the humans' earpieces. "We are surprised by your arrival. Your species was not expected to achieve interstellar travel for at least another century." "We had some help," Kevin said with a smile. "We found one of your ships. The crew was dead, but we learned much from their database." The alien's eyes blinked rapidly. "The messenger vessel. We wondered what happened to it." Elder Zax looked at the humans carefully. "You reverse-engineered our technology in just 5 years?" Lisa stepped forward. "We're quick learners." The alien delegation led them through wide corridors filled with species of all shapes and sizes. Many stopped to stare at the humans. Some moved away quickly, as if afraid. "Why do they fear us?" Kevin asked quietly. "Your reputation precedes you," Elder Zax replied. "The Conclave has observed Earth for many cycles. We have seen your wars, your weapons, your rapid technological advancement. Many find it concerning." They arrived at a large chamber with a circular table. Representatives from different species sat around it, watching the humans with a mixture of curiosity and unease. "The Council has agreed to grant Earth provisional observer status," Elder Zax announced. "You may establish an embassy on the Nexus, but there are conditions." "What conditions?" Kevin asked. "Restrictions on human expansion beyond your solar system. Limits on the size and armaments of your vessels. Oversight of your technological development." Kevin's face remained calm, but his voice cooled. "Those are harsh terms for a peaceful first contact." "They are necessary precautions," said another alien, this one with green scales and yellow eyes. "Your kind are too unpredictable, too aggressive." The negotiations lasted for days. Kevin worked tirelessly to secure better terms for Earth. During a break, he spoke with Lisa and Frank in their private quarters. "They're afraid of us," Frank said. "Us, when they have technology centuries beyond ours." "Fear isn't always rational," Lisa replied. "From what I've gathered, most conclave species evolved as cooperative herbivores or omnivores. They lack our predatory instincts." "That might explain something else I've learned," Kevin said, lowering his voice. "Whole colonies on the edges of conclave space have been disappearing. Different species, different worlds. Something is hunting them." "And they don't know what?" Lisa asked. "They call them the Void Hunters. The Council refuses to discuss it with us." They consider us too primitive to help, too volatile to trust. Frank snorted. So they'll restrict us while they face a threat they can't handle? Kevin looked out the viewport at the alien ships moving around the Nexus. We need to learn more about these void hunters. Something tells me humanity's place in this galaxy may depend on it. The universe will never forget the moment. Humanity became the ultimate predator. Part 3. The emissary moved through space, heading back to Earth after 3 weeks at the Nexus. Ambassador Kevin Mitchell sat in his office, reviewing the agreement he had made with the Conclave. It was not what he had hoped for. Humans could travel to certain Conclave worlds but could not settle new planets without permission. The Conclave would monitor Earth's technology and military. It was more like being watched than being welcomed. Ambassador, we're picking up a distress signal. Captain Jane Porter's voice came through the speaker. Kevin pressed a button. What kind of signal? Conclave emergency beacon, coming from a small colony on Vega Prime. It's on our path. Kevin thought for a moment. The Conclave had made it clear that humans should not interfere in their affairs. But a distress signal could not be ignored. How far? 2 hours at maximum speed. Set course for Vega Prime, Kevin ordered. And call Major Russell and Dr. Carter to my office. Soon Frank Russell and Lisa Carter joined Kevin. He explained the situation. This could be our chance to learn about the Void Hunters, Lisa said, her eyes bright with excitement and worry. Frank crossed his arms. Or it could be a trap. The Conclave doesn't want us involved. We can't ignore people in danger, Kevin said. We'll go, but carefully. Frank, prepare your security team. Lisa, I want you to study everything we have on Vega Prime and its people. 2 hours later, the emissary dropped out of FTL near Vega Prime. It was a small blue-green world with 2 moons. But something was wrong. Fires burned on the surface, ships lay broken in orbit. Life signs? Jane asked her sensor officer. Scattered. Many in the main colony are gone. But there's a group of survivors in the hills north of the settlement. And something else, another officer added. Unknown ships, 3 of them, in orbit on the far side of the planet. Jane turned to Kevin. Your orders, Ambassador? Kevin didn't hesitate. We help the survivors. Send a shuttle down with Major Russell's team. I'll go too. Sir, that's not advisable, Frank protested. I need to see this firsthand, Major. The Conclave needs to know that humans help those in need. The shuttle launched from the emissary and headed for the planet's surface. Through the viewports, they could see the destruction below. The main colony was in ruins. Buildings burned. Fields were scorched. They landed near the survivor group in the hills. As they stepped out, aliens approached them cautiously. They were Silurians, a species with 4 arms and blue skin that Lisa had studied at the Nexus. They looked afraid until they saw the humans. You came, one of them said through the translator. The Conclave sent help. We're not from the Conclave, Kevin explained. We're humans from Earth. We heard your distress call. The aliens looked confused. Earth? The new species? Why would you help us? Because you needed it, Kevin said simply. What happened here? The Zalorian leader, who called himself Nax, explained. The Void Hunters came 3 days ago. They attacked without warning. They took many of our people. Took them? Lisa asked. Not killed? They take the young and healthy, kill the old and weak. They have done this to many colonies. Frank had been scanning the area with his team. Now he came back, his face grim. Sir, we've detected movement from the ruins. Something's hunting the survivors, and it's heading this way. Kevin made a quick decision. Get these people to the shuttle. We'll take them to the emissary. As they helped the Zalorians board, a noise came from the forest nearby. Frank signaled his team to form a defensive line. They emerged from the trees. Tall, thin creatures in black armor. They moved on all 4s but could stand on 2 legs. Their helmets had no visible eyes, just smooth black surfaces. There were 5 of them, and they carried weapons unlike anything the humans had seen. Void Hunters, whispered Nax in fear. The creatures stopped, studying the humans. Then they charged. Open fire, Frank ordered. The human security team fired their weapons. The Void Hunters moved fast, dodging some shots. But when they were hit, they kept coming. "They're not stopping," shouted one of the security officers. Frank watched the attackers, noticing something. "They're using a pattern. Like wolves, they're trying to circle us." Kevin saw it too. The Void Hunters weren't just attacking. They were hunting, using tactics that humans knew well from their own history as predators. "They're trying to cut us off from the shuttle," Kevin realized. "Frank, we need to change tactics." Frank nodded, understanding immediately. "Jones, Phillips, lay down covering fire on the left. Chen, with me on the right. We're going to hit their flank. They don't expect prey to attack predators." The human team moved with practiced precision. Instead of retreating, they advanced. The Void Hunters hesitated, confused by this unexpected behavior. Frank's team hit them from the side, while the others kept firing from the front. Caught between two lines of fire, the Void Hunters broke formation. One fell, then another. The remaining three retreated into the forest. "Everyone on the shuttle now," Kevin ordered. As they lifted off, Lisa studied the fallen Void Hunter through the viewport. "We need to take one with us. Study it." Kevin nodded. "Captain Porter," he said into his comm, "prepare for a quick retrieval and then immediate departure. And send a message to the emissary. Tell them to be ready for combat." In orbit, the emissary faced the three Void Hunter ships. They were black, sleek vessels that looked like predatory fish. "They're charging weapons," reported the tactical officer. "Evasive maneuvers," Jane ordered. "Fire warning shots." The emissary moved with surprising speed for its size. The Void Hunter ships followed, firing strange energy weapons that glanced off the Earthship's shields. "Their attack pattern," Jane observed. "It's like they're trying to hurt us." The shuttle docked safely, bringing the survivors and the fallen Void Hunter aboard. The emissary turned to face its attackers. "Full power to forward weapons," Jane commanded. "Let's show them humans aren't easy prey." The emissary fired its main weapons. One Void Hunter ship took a direct hit and spun away, damaged. The others broke off their attack and fled into FTL. Later, as the emissary headed for the nearest Conclave outpost with the survivors, Kevin received a message. The Conclave Council wanted to speak with him immediately. "They know what we did," Lisa said. Kevin nodded. "Yes. And now they're going to learn something important about humans." "What's that?" Frank asked. "That we understand predators," Kevin said. "Because deep down, we are predators too. But we use that instinct to protect, not just to hunt. And that might be exactly what the Conclave needs right now. The universe will never forget the moment. Humanity became the ultimate predator. Part 4. 2 years passed since the battle at Vega Prime. Everything had changed. The video of humans fighting off the Void Hunters had spread throughout the Conclave. Some species now looked to humans with hope instead of fear. Others worried that humans might be more dangerous than the Void Hunters themselves. Earth had launched a new fleet of ships designed to fight the Void Hunters. They called them hunter-killer vessels. The flagship was the USS Predator, commanded by Captain Olivia Peters. Olivia stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the stars. She was tall, with short brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. Before taking command of the Predator, she had been one of Earth's best tactical officers. "Captain, all systems are ready," said her first officer, Lieutenant Greg Wilson. "Thank you, Greg," Olivia replied. "Tell Sam to join us on the bridge. I want to review the plan one more time." Sam Howard was the ship's tactical expert. He had spent 2 years studying the Void Hunters, learning their habits and strategies. He was young but brilliant, with a mind that could see patterns where others saw chaos. Sam arrived on the bridge a few minutes later, carrying his tablet. "I've updated the hunting algorithms based on the latest encounters," he said. "The Void Hunters are adapting, but so are we." "And what about our guest?" Olivia asked. "Dr. Nelson is still studying the captured technology. He thinks he's close to understanding how their ships track their prey." Dr. Chris Nelson was the science officer aboard the Predator. He had been working with the technology and biology they had recovered from the fallen Void Hunter 2 years ago. The Predator wasn't alone. It led a small fleet of Earth ships along with vessels from some conclave species who had come to trust humans. They were headed for a region of space where several Void Hunter attacks had been reported. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission." "From Admiral Wright," Greg reported. Admiral Alan Wright appeared on the main screen. 2 years ago, he had been Commander Wright of the USS Horizon. Now he led Earth's defense forces. "Captain Peters, new intelligence suggests the Void Hunters have a staging area in the Cygnus sector," Alan said. "Take your fleet and investigate, but be careful. We still don't know how many of them are out there." "Understood, Admiral," Olivia replied. "We'll find them." After the transmission ended, Olivia turned to her crew. "Set course for the Cygnus sector, maximum speed." The fleet jumped to FTL, traveling through space faster than light. When they arrived in the Cygnus sector, they found an empty region with old dying stars. "Scan for any signs of the Void Hunters," Olivia ordered. "Nothing on regular sensors," Greg reported. "But there's something strange about the third planet in that system ahead." Sam studied his screens. "The planet's dead, no atmosphere, but I'm detecting energy readings. Take us closer," Olivia decided, "but stay alert." As they approached the dead planet, they saw structures on its surface, not natural formations but buildings, and in orbit, hidden behind the planet's moon, were dozens of Void Hunter ships. "They haven't spotted us yet," Sam said quietly. "Their attention is focused on the planet." "What are they doing down there?" Olivia wondered. "I could take a small team to the surface," Sam suggested. "Use their own hunting tactics against them. Stay quiet, stay hidden." Olivia considered this. It was risky, but they needed information. "Okay, but Dr. Nelson goes with you. I want to know what's on that planet." Sam, Chris, and a small team of soldiers took a stealth shuttle to the planet's surface. They landed far from the Void Hunter structures and approached on foot, using the rugged terrain for cover. What they found shocked them. The structures weren't just buildings, they were factories, and inside they saw Void Hunters being assembled piece by piece. "They're not born," Chris whispered in surprise. "They're built." Sam took readings with his scanner. "These components, they're not like anything the Conclave uses. This is even more advanced." They moved deeper into the facility, careful to avoid the few Void Hunters patrolling inside. In a central chamber, they found what looked like a communication array. Strange. Symbols flowed across screens. "Can you decode any of this?" Sam asked Chris. Chris worked with his equipment. "Some of it's reporting to something, sending data. About the Conclave, about the attacks, about us, about humans." "They're studying us just like we're studying them," Sam realized. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. They had been discovered. "Back to the shuttle," Sam ordered. They ran, Void Hunters in pursuit. Unlike their previous encounters, these Void Hunters moved differently, adapting to the humans' tactics. "They're learning from us," Chris panted as they ran. They barely made it back to their shuttle and escaped to the Predator. Once back on the flagship, they reported what they had found to Olivia. "So they're not a natural species," she said, her face grim. "They're weapons, created by someone." "Yes," Chris confirmed. "And based on the technology I saw, whoever made them is far more advanced than even the Conclave." "But who would do this? And why?" Greg asked. "That's what the communication array might tell us," Chris said. "I captured some of the data. Give me time to analyze it." 3 hours later, Chris called an emergency meeting. His face was pale as he shared his findings. "The Void Hunters were created by a species called the Architects," he explained. "They're ancient, maybe millions of years old, and the Conclave isn't a natural development. It's an experiment." "An experiment?" Olivia repeated in disbelief. Chris nodded. "The Architects have been guiding the evolution of the Conclave species for millennia. The Void Hunters are their way of culling the herd, testing which species deserve to continue." "That's insane," Greg said. "Not to them," Sam replied, understanding in his eyes. "It's a predator's instinct. Keep the prey population in check, remove the weak." "But we weren't part of their experiment," Chris continued. "Humans evolved outside their influence. That's why the Void Hunters are reporting so much data about us. The architects never encountered humans before. Olivia stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. So we're dealing with a species that sees the entire conclave as their livestock, and now we've caught their attention. We need to take this to Ambassador Mitchell and Admiral Wright, Sam said. The conclave needs to know what they're really facing. And they need to know that humans might be the only ones who can stop it, Olivia added. Because we understand what it means to be both predator and prey. We know what it means to hunt, but we also know what it means to protect. As the predator set course back to conclave space, Olivia couldn't help but wonder, were humans ready to face the architects? And would the conclave see them as saviors, or would they fear humans even more once they learned the truth? The universe will never forget the moment. Humanity became the ultimate predator. Part 5. The Nexus was in chaos. News of the architects had spread through the conclave. Some species refused to believe they were just an experiment. Others fell into despair. The council chambers echoed with angry voices and frightened cries. Ambassador Kevin Mitchell stood before them all, his voice calm but firm. We face a common threat. We must stand together. Elder Zax of the Zelaxian shook his head. How can we fight beings who created us, who have shaped our evolution for millennia? The same way humans have always fought stronger predators, Kevin replied, with intelligence, cooperation, and courage. The debate continued for days. Meanwhile, Earth forces gathered. Admiral Alan Wright commanded the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Ships from friendly conclave species joined them. Not many, but enough to show that humans were not alone. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, now the flagship of the human fleet, Alan studied the tactical displays. Any sign of them? Nothing yet, Admiral, replied his second-in-command. But Dr. Carter says they'll come. The data from the Predator's mission proves they're watching us. Dr. Lisa Carter had spent the last 2 years studying the architects based on the limited data they had. She now served as the fleet's chief science officer. Admiral, she called from her station, I'm detecting spatial distortions, massive ones. Alan's face grew serious. They're here. The ships appeared at the edge of the system. Not dozens like the Void Hunters, but 3 massive vessels that dwarfed anything the Conclave or humans had built. Each was the size of a small moon, shaped like perfect spheres of gleaming metal. All ships, battle formations, Alan ordered. But hold fire until ordered. The 3 enormous ships moved toward the Nexus with calm precision. Then a voice came through every communication system in the fleet. In the Nexus, even in the personal devices of every being. It spoke in a strange musical language that somehow everyone understood. We are the architects. Your interference in our great project has been noted. The human variable is unexpected and disruptive. You will withdraw from conclave space immediately or face extinction. At the Nexus, Kevin received the transmission along with everyone else. He turned to Elder Zax and the other council members. This is our chance. Let me speak to them. Why would they listen to a human? Asked a conclave member. Because we're the one thing they didn't create, Kevin answered. The one thing they don't understand. After heated debate, the council agreed. Kevin sent a message to the architect vessels. This is Ambassador Kevin Mitchell of Earth. We request face-to-face dialogue before any action is taken. There was a long silence. Then, we accept. One representative may board our vessel. On the Horizon, Alan argued against the plan. It's too dangerous. Let us confront them with our fleet. Their technology is far beyond ours. Kevin replied over the video link. This isn't a battle we can win with weapons. Trust me, Alan. Admiral Wright finally nodded. Good luck, old friend. A small shuttle carried Kevin to the largest architect vessel. As he approached, a door opened in its smooth surface. Inside, he found corridors of shining metal and glowing light. He was met by a being unlike any he had seen before. The architect was tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shift, colors like flowing water. It had no mouth, yet its voice appeared in Kevin's mind when it spoke. Human. You are an anomaly in our calculations. Kevin stood straight, meeting the alien's gaze. We tend to be that way. The architect led him to a vast chamber where two others waited. Together, the three beings radiated power and ancient intelligence. For millions of years, we have guided the evolution of this galaxy's life, the lead architect explained. The conclave is our greatest achievement, a controlled experiment in cooperative development, an experiment that includes culling those you deem unworthy, Kevin said, using your void hunters as the predators that the conclave species never evolved. Natural selection requires predators, another architect replied. The weak must fall so the strong can rise. Kevin walked forward, unafraid. There's where you're wrong. Humanity evolved with predators. We were prey before we became predators ourselves. We learned that true strength comes not from eliminating the weak, but from protecting them. The architect seemed confused by this concept. Protection of the weak leads to corruption of the genetic line. It leads to cooperation, to innovation, to compassion, Kevin countered. Things your experiment has achieved despite your methods, not because of them. Meanwhile, near the edge of the system, Captain Olivia Peters of the Predator watched her sensors carefully. They're focused on the Nexus and the Admiral's fleet. Their rear defenses are minimal. The architects don't think like predators, Sam Howard observed. They think like scientists. Then let's show them what predators do when their family is threatened, Olivia said. All ships follow us in. The Predator led a small strike force toward the architect vessels from behind. Their mission, not to destroy, but to place devices developed by Dr. Nelson onto the architect ships. Devices that would link with the Void, Hunter Communication Network. Back in the central chamber, the lead architect suddenly stiffened. Your ships are attempting to infiltrate our vessels. This dialogue was a distraction. No, Kevin said firmly. This dialogue is the whole point. The ships are just making sure you listen. In space, the small human ships completed their mission and withdrew. Dr. Nelson activated the devices remotely. They didn't attack the architect ships. Instead, they connected the architects to every mind in the conclave and to humanity. For the first time, the architects experienced the fear of their test subjects. They felt the pain of those taken by the Void Hunters. They understood the courage of species fighting together despite their differences, and they experienced something entirely new to them. Humanity's complex nature, both predator and protector. The lead architect stumbled back, overwhelmed by the flood of emotions and experiences. What is this? Empathy, Kevin said simply. Something you never programmed into your experiment. Something we evolved naturally. The connection lasted only minutes before the architects severed it, but it was enough. The three beings conferred silently with each other. Finally, the lead architect turned to Kevin. We have existed for millions of years, yet you have shown us something new. Your species uses its predatory nature not primarily to hunt, but to defend. This requires further study. Does that mean you're calling off your Void Hunters? Kevin asked. They will be recalled. The experiment will continue, but with modifications. Humanity may remain within conclave space, as participants, not variables. As Kevin returned to the Nexus, he found the Conclave Council waiting anxiously. What happened? Elder Zax asked. The architect ships are withdrawing. We showed them something they didn't understand, Kevin explained. That being a predator doesn't have to mean being a destroyer. It can mean being a protector. In the days that followed, a new alliance formed. The human fleets took on the role of defenders of conclave space. Many species still feared humans, but now it was a respectful fear, an understanding that humanity's predatory instincts were directed toward protection. Admiral Wright and Ambassador Mitchell stood on the observation deck of the Nexus, watching ships from dozens of species moving peacefully around the station. Do you think the architects will keep their word? Alan asked. I think they're genuinely curious about us now, Kevin replied. And that's better than being seen as a problem to solve. The ultimate predator, Alan mused, remembering an old conversation. Not because we're the most violent, but because we understand what it means to hunt and what it means to protect, Kevin finished. The universe won't forget that about us. And it never did.